Hello there and welcome to Tom's Warhammer Minis. The old world armies are often supported by powerful artillery teams and Grand Cathay is no exception. The brand new plastic teams offer us two ways to show the might of the Celestial Dragon. The Grand Cannon is the classic piece, designed to belch fire or spit cannonballs against their foes, while the Fire Rain rocket batteries hurl mighty firework-themed explosives into the heart of the enemy force. Now this kit is absolutely fantastic. Buying a set gives you both teams or two lots of each depending on how you want to field your army. Every character is extremely characterful and an incredible joy to paint. Now if you know me and my tutorials that I've done and the way I painted them, I loved painting the Lantern. I love painting the Sentinels, I love painting the Dragon. And while the artillery teams are part of the same army, they're so very different, but just equally as wonderful. Now in this tutorial I'll show you how to box art style your miniatures using the contrast painting method, giving tips and guidance along the way. Now of course at the end there is a choice of adding verdigris effects to the cannons, like the heavy metal team did. Now personally I chose not to. I wanted a fresh royal grand look to my models, but should that effect interest you, then go and check out my Death Guard contrast painting tutorials on my channel. They'll show a unique and easy way to control and do that technique. And be sure to check out my other Grand Cathay tutorials too, because this range is absolutely awesome. Now without further ado, it's time to get painting. So grab your paints, grab your brushes, and let's get hobbying. Okay, starting off with our artillery. Now I've primed all the models of this set in White Scar. As you can see, I've already applied the basing because it's just going to speed my time up. I'm going to be applying grass on it later. The same thing I've done with my other models, so I can't really mess it up. So to begin with, we're going to take our first colour, and it's going to be Soulblight Grey. I'm applying this as a recessed shade into these little white circle markings. But I've got a rather clever way of doing this. So I haven't painted this one yet, and I'm going to show you how. Simply get your paint. And I'm going to take a small amount. And literally we're going to paint it all over. As soon as you've done that, take your thumb, wipe it off. All that flat area is now completely White Scar still, but you've got your recessed shade in place. Nice and simple. It means we can really speed up quick painting. And next up, we're painting all the red details across all the models. And the colour I'm using here is Flesh Terror's Red. As you can see, you've got to be very careful avoiding that little white emblem. Doesn't matter if you catch the metallics. I've also taken advantage to paint the red details of the other parts of all the models. So for instance, for the fire battery itself, I've painted the rockets, but I've left the innermost edge just like a sort of circle highlight, which we're going to paint in yellow. There's the little ropes that hold the main ropes, and just to show the clothing of the characters. So again, painting the rockets in the red, leaving that little edge which we're going to paint yellow. Again, the ropes, clothes, show off the ogre, painted his emblem as well. I'll show this little character as well. Take your time and get all that red done. Next up, I'm finishing off the red details, and this is only on the artillery. And the colour I'm using here is Angron Red Clear. It's that glossy air paint that's going to give it a sort of rich look. It's going to sort of trick it to be like wood. And that will really come into play once we've done all of the other colours. So simply just paint that on. It will be sticky. It takes a long time to dry. Next up, I'm using Agrax Earthshade. Now the colour of all the wood on the artillery is a very light brown, and Agrax Earthshade treated like a contrast paint, and the base coat is the matching colour here. So simply paint that on. But while I've got the Agrax Earthshade to hand, I've also used it to paint in all the rope details across all the models. So here's the ogre as an example. So the old man carrying his cart. And again, this is for every model. And to show the rocket battery as well, because I've done the ropes on that. And finally, for the actual rockets themselves, those yellow rings, I've painted in Imperial Fist yellow. And the beauty of it, because the base is going to be, well, the actual cannon itself is going to be painted in metallics, I can be a bit sloppy and messy here. So I've just quickly got the paint in around each one. I've done the same, but a bit more carefully for the two men that are holding the rockets. Next up, I'm just focusing on the artillery pieces just to get them done. So we're doing the metallic details as base coats here. For all of the gold, which will include the dragon head, as well as what you can see here, I've base coated in Retributor Armour. For all of the silver details, as you can see, which is just on this part of the frame, I've base coated them in Iron Warriors. Now for the actual main cannons themselves, and this includes the main field cannon, but I'll show it on this one, I've painted all that bronze in Castellax Bronze. I've also relayered the rockets to make them a bit brighter with Evil Sun Scarlet. That Flesh Terror's red makes a good base coat. You only need one coat of the Evil Sun Scarlet just to relayer and get that bright vivid red. Next up, it's time to do some shading. All of our metallics, and the colour I'm using is Angron Red Clear. So this is the bronze, the silver and the gold, but I've also done the base too, because that's how I do the basing of my Grand Cathay miniatures. Just a quick showcase. Like you'd normally do a shading, apply it all over, let it settle into the recesses. Nice and simple. And we're jumping straight ahead to how it will be finished. Start with some dry brushing for all of our metallic details because they've got so many edges, they are perfect to catch with a dry brush. So for our silver details, start with Ironbreaker. Once that's done, dry brush all of the gold with Liberator Gold. Once that's done, highlight the bronze cannons themselves with Sycorax Bronze. I've got a couple of extra additional highlights. This is for both cannons, the wood that we did in Agrax Earthshade. I've done some fine highlights of Pallid Witch Flesh. And lastly, this is only for the rocket battery, that wood that holds the fireworks in place. I've just done a paint of Snakebite leather. Nice and simple, and base the miniatures as you wish. Classic Tom's Warhammer minis here, I like to do it with a nice flower base. Just to show the other cannon. This is all done. An additional thing that I did, you've got some really cool transfers that come with Grand Cathay. I just took that logo, it's a nice long strip, and did it all the way around. Of course, that's down to you to choose and base how you want to. Now, before we move on to the next details, there's a couple of things I just want to point out that I did at the same time as the cannons. So things like Evil Sun Scarlet, I used that to relayer these fireworks that the characters are holding. And the wooden poles, again, they've been painted in Snakebite leather. The difference here is I have shaded them in Angron Red Clear. It's just a very light colour. It doesn't really shift it so much. It's more using it as a varnish to prevent any chipping. And I've used that Angron Red Clear on the bases too. But the next area that I'm focusing on is the clothing details. So for all of that blue, the colour I like to use here is Assaman Blue. It's not thinned down. What I've done is I've applied a layer, let it dry, and I've applied a second layer for that real richness. Kind of matches the crew that I did with the Sky Lantern. I want them to be, very similar. For the soft cloth that you can see, I've painted in Skeleton Horde. No thinning down, just apply it as it comes. And for the red details that were already applied, I've used Nuln Oil. It darkens down the recesses but keeps that rich redness there. And I'll just show the ogre as an example. Give you an idea of what a different character looks like with those details applied. Next up, I'm focusing on the hair as well as the feet, and this includes the leather like socks as well as the actual shoes themselves. So we've got two choices of colours here. Some of the characters have a more aged appearance, like I've done with the ogre, and for the hair colour here, I've just used Nuln Oil. It settles into the recesses nicely and gives that greyish old effect. Alternatively, you could go Black Templar. Again, it's not as strong as Black Legion, but what it will do is it will settle darkly into the recesses, leaving that nice natural highlight. I find this better for hair. And again, I've used the Black Templar, in this case, for all of that sock and shoe leather. Take your time, then we can move on to the skin tone. Next up, I'm combining the wood as well as the leather details together in a single coat of paint. Going to be shifting it later, but the base coat colour I've used here is Gore Grunter Fur. I've done this across all the models of the crew. After that, once it's dried, focusing on the skin detail. And the colour here I'm using is Darko Flesh. It's the same colour I've used across all the models, across the Grand Cathay range, and it absolutely works perfectly for their skin tone. And lastly, just to showcase, while doing brown details, The sack on the cart that he's carrying, I've painted in Angron Red Shade. It's a slightly different shade of brown. It's not matching the box art, but it helps to stand out quite neatly against the darker brown woods that I'll be doing. Just to show a different character, just with those browns on. And next up, we're taking Sycorax Brown, and I'm filling this down with Lamia Medium. 3 parts Lamia Medium, 1 part Sycorax Brown. Technically turning this into a sort of shade. And where I'm applying this is over all of the gore grunter fur details that we've done. So all of the leather, all of that dark wood. It just gives it a real rich, darkened look. Again, I've done this across every single model of the set. While I've had that mix to hand, I've also applied it over the sacks on the cartman. That Angron Red Shade won't show through anymore, but what that Angron Red Shade did beforehand, it's helped to start this transition into this real earthy feel. Now next up, we're just focusing solely on this ogre himself. The other ogre, he's pretty standard. This one's got the backpack, so he's a lot more unique. And to begin with, he's got the only open mouth that's large enough that needs a different detail, and I've taken a spot of Carabao Crimson. Not too much on your brush, just a small amount, apply it to the inside of the mouth. Then turning him around on top of his backpack, I've used snakebite leather for the bag and the parcels. Just creates a different brown just to help really pick out the different details. And then our last remaining contrast coloured details to do is the mop and the fish. And I base coated both of these in Gryph Grey. It gives that mop a real dirty feel to it. And the fish, we're going to wait till it's completely dry, because once that's done, I've applied a shade of Tyrant Blue all over, giving that real fishy ocean feel to it. And with that all done, all that we need to do now is base coat our metallic details, which is next. And finally, our final base coating colours are going to be metallics. They should be the remaining things across all the models of this set. And we're keeping it nice and simple. All the silvers I've done in Iron Warriors. It's going to be nice and dark. And it's going to have some real nice sharp highlights at the end. For all of our gold details, I've painted in Retributor Armour. And there aren't many, but there are some bronze looking details. And I've painted those in Rune Lord Brass. So to show a couple of other models that I've done as examples. Here's the Cartman. Again, you've got the bronze for the little lamp part. Silver for the wheels, etc. Show another character. Gives you an idea of what they could look like. All we need to do now is some shading of those metallics. Next up, we're going to shade those metallic details, and we're keeping it nice and simple here, as I like to do. All the silvers done in Nuln Oil, all of the bronze and all of the gold details are done in Reikland Flesh Shade. Now with that done, our model is officially, well, the whole team is officially battle ready. And we could just simply do the bases and they would look incredible. We're not going to leave it there, we're going to take it to the next stage. We are going to add some highlights. And the way the highlighting is going to work for this tutorial, I'm really just going to show it on this character alone. If there are any differences, I will show them on the other models. But this ogre, he has the most differences, he's got the most detail, the uniform's the same, the skin tone's the same. It just makes sense to showcase it on this one. But if there are any different details, then I will show them. And we're going to begin next. I'm going to be focusing on edge highlighting all of the clothes to begin with. And let's start with the blue. The Aslan blue, the two coats, is very vivid, very bright. And we want to match that with an equally bright highlight. And Lothern blue is the colour that I like to use here. Once that's done, I've moved on to the red details. And again, simple edge highlighting of Wild Rider red. And on the ogres, which is only the ogres, you've got the red shields too. And finally, for all of that skeleton horde coloured cloth that I've done, I've highlighted with Screaming Skull. I've also done the two bones that are in the pouches. Again, this is for the ogres only. Next up, to finish all of that cloth detail off, we're painting up the little studs. And picking them out, I want them nice, bright and silver, but as a base coat colour, and Iron Hand Steel really works nicely here. With the ogres, you've also got the top part of their costume and the shields, but with all the main small characters, it's just the lower section that has the studs. Next up, we're focusing on the highlights for the skin. This is a mixture of edge highlighting and spot highlighting, things like the knuckles and stuff. But the colour I'm using here is Flayed One Flesh. Once that's done, I'm picking out the teeth. Now there's not many teeth on the little guys. There are a couple of models, mainly the leaders of the squads. But with this ogre in particular, you have got little teeth. And I've picked this out with white scar. But at the same time I've got this paint to hand, I've dotted all the eyes. And if they've got grey hair, which I painted on, I've highlighted their hair with white scar. Finishing the eyes off across all the models, I've just done a tiny dot of Abaddon black. And just for the ogre, because he's got his tongue hanging out, I've given a small tiny highlight of Fulgrim pink. It's very subtle, but it just helps to point out that edge highlight. So my final colour for this section of highlights, because we've done the white hair, if you painted black hair with black template like I did, I've used highlights of Dawnstone just to pick them out. The black template we did for the socks creates a nice vivid greyish blue highlight anyway. We want to make that pop a little bit more. So to highlight all of our black socks, the colour I recommend using is Rust Grey. It's almost identical, which really defines the highlight. Once that's done, we can focus on the brown details. Now the first colour I'm going to use is Deathclaw Brown. I've applied this to two specific areas. Essentially everything we painted in Gorgon to Fur and shaded with Sycorax Bronze. So this is all of the leather, it's all of the wood. Nice simple edge highlighting, really brings out those features. I've done that across all of the models. Next up, this one's a bit more optional. It really neatens and brightens the colours. And I'm using Pallid Witch Flesh, and this is across all of the Agrax Earthshade details. So all of the ropes, see that holding the satchel, really just defines it and pops it out a little bit more. And finally, I'm using Castellax Stone. Now this one is only over across a few models. It's for very specific details. So for instance, the parcels in the bag that I did in top here with snakebite leather. It's a nice highlighting colour for that one. For our cartman, the sacks on the cart, I've highlighted those in Castellax Stone. And for the men that are holding the fireworks, just little edge highlights around those rings, just helps to pop it out more. Again, that's another snakebite leather detail. Next up for our ogre, we're going to focus on the mop and the fish. I'm going to use the same colour here, because after all, the base coat colour was Griff Charger Grey. I know we tinted down the fish a bit more with Tyrant Blue, but the overall colour scheme is the same, and the highlight will work perfectly, and that is going to be Blue Horror. It's going to be nice and bright, it's going to be sharp, it's going to really pick out those details. So take your time and apply that all over. Now our last remaining details before we go on to the silver and gold and bronze, we're going to focus on the fireworks, and just like we did on our actual cannon, I'll do a spot highlight of Lugganath Orange, just on the tip there. And should you need to touch up the yellow ring, I had to on this one. I find Flash Gets Yellow really works nicely for that. And once that's done, we can move on to the metallic details. And lastly, it's our metallic details. To begin with, let's focus on the silvers. I've highlighted them all with Ironbreaker. And for things like the cannonball, all I've done is applied little scratches, completely random, and random being the best way, just all over. Gives it a nice bit of detail and a bit of highlighting. For all of our gold details, I've highlighted with Liberator Gold. And then for our bronze details, I've highlighted with Canoptic Alloy. Got one subtle difference just to add, and this is for the leader on his spyglass. I have taken, you can use Stormhost Silver for it to be really bright, but the Ironbreaker is just as good. Paint it onto the spyglass part, and once it's dry, apply a small amount of Frost Heart. Gives it a nice bright blue vivid image. It's going to be quite flat when it dries, so I've added just a nice little dot of Hard Coat Gloss varnish. Gives it a nice natural shine. And with that, our models for artillery teams are completely done. All we need to do now is base them, which we'll do in the next step. And there we have it. The Grand Cathay artillery teams are complete. Now these are truly wonderful and extremely characterful miniatures. A true joy to paint up and bring to life. Now obviously I batch painted both teams at the same time because it's something I'm quite used to personally, but this team is just so fantastic with all those details. You really want to take your time doing them to make them look really great. Now my personal recommendation here is to do one artillery team at a time, especially if batch painting is a struggle for you personally. Either way, this guide takes you to a battle ready stage as well as a parade ready stage, so it's down to you how far you want to take these awesome minis. Now if this tutorial or any others have helped and inspired, then supporting my channel goes a long way to helping me create more content. Quite literally, supporting me means I can support you, the awesome Warhammer community. So please spend that small amount of time to like, share and subscribe. And why not get in touch? What tutorials would you like to see in the future? Plus you can keep up with all the latest on my Instagram. Thank you again for watching, and until the next time, look after yourselves and happy hobbying.